Hi class, we're going to look at chapter 4, problem 15B this time. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I've made an Excel spreadsheet for you to look at. And again, this is chapter 4, problem 15B. And we're going to be using tax table C to determine the percentage method of withholding federal income taxes. And the first step that you need to use is to determine the amount of withholding allowance for a weekly payroll period using the withholding allowance table. That is, if it's a weekly payroll, we're going to use this weekly amount of $83. If the problem states that it's bi-weekly, we'd use $165, or semi-monthly, $179, monthly, $358. If it's quarterly, it's $1,075, semi-annuals, $2,150, annuals, $4,300. The daily or miscellaneous is $17. These are the table of allowance values that are given to you that will help you to calculate the percentage method. This time we're not using the wage bracket method, we're using the percentage method. So we have to use tax table C to do that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to determine what your table of allowance values are, and this will be given to you in your problem. On Cengage, you'll just click on the link that says table of allowance values, and this will pop up. The first employee that we want to work with is Skymer, and his weekly amount of, this is not weekly pay here, but this is the weekly allowance. So I'm going to change that to where it says allowance. The weekly allowance for Skymer, because he's paid weekly, is going to be $83. This is the table. It has $83 on that. And what that means is he is claiming 4 withholding allowances. So he could claim himself, he could claim his wife, he could claim 2 children. The number of withholding allowances that you claim on a W-4 form will decrease the amount of taxes that are taken out for federal income tax purposes. This is applied to employees that have been working for the company since 2019, and they have already had what is called a W-4 form in place that shows the amount of allowances that they are wanting you to withhold, so that you do not withhold taxes on that $332. So in the problem itself that's given to you in Cengage, they tell you that the employee is Skymer, and that he has 4 withholding allowances. So this information is given to you. You have to multiply the 4 withholding allowances that are given by the table of allowance values, which is $83 for a weekly paid person. That's where I got 83. Multiply that, and the total amount of taxes, or total amount of wages that are not subject to taxes, are 332. In other words, this is your total withholding allowances. Then you're going to subtract the total of the withholding allowances from the gross weekly salary to get the amount of taxable pay. So the gross pay was given for Skymer at $1,575. We just found that he had 4 withholding allowances, and the total allowances, 4 times 83, the total withholding allowances are 332. We're going to subtract them from our gross wages, and that will give us our taxable wages for the federal income taxes. Now, because you're using the percentage method, we have to find the wage brackets that are located on table C, which is your percentages table. And so I'm going to go to that in just a minute. But what you're going to look for is you're going to look for where the 1243 fits. And on the percentage table, it's going to fit between 609 and 1,772 for a weekly employee that has some withholding allowances, or we're using the percentage table to do this. So I'm going to stop sharing this with you, and I'm going to go to Cengage for just a minute so you can see where I'm getting the amount for the federal income taxes. So 1243 was what we have calculated is taxable FIT wages. Let me make sure I'm on the right problem too. That would help. And here's Schuymer, and this is his marital status. This is where it was showing he had 4 withholding allowances, and this is his gross pay. So all we're trying to calculate is the amount of FIT that we would withhold for Schuymer. So here is where your table of allowances are. That's what I had copied into the Excel spreadsheet that I just showed you. So click on this to get your table of allowances, and click here to get your percentage method table. And right here is a rundown of why we're using table C. It's for the manual payroll systems with forms W-4 that are in place from 2019 or earlier. So we're going to go to tax table C, which would be the percentage method. Okay, and right here, they also have the table of allowances posted for you. This is where I got the $83 weekly amount for 1 withholding allowance. Remember, we had to multiply it by 4 because this person had 4. We also need to know the marital status of this employee and how they were paid. So I'm going to flip back here for just a second. The marital status is he's married, and the number of times he's paid is weekly. So we're at weekly, and we're looking at the married side. Notice this side is for single, but we're looking at the married side here. And so the total amount that we calculated on the spreadsheet that we should be looking for is an amount that falls somewhere close to 1243. That was the amount of taxable wages. So if you're looking right here is the part that I need to show you. I'm going to enlarge that so you can see it a little better. All right, and so 1243 is the amount of the taxable wages that falls in between 609 and 1772. Notice they have given you a tentative amount of tax that they withheld. In other words, they have calculated tax on the $609 already, and that amount is $38. This person is in the 12% bracket. If we follow it all on across here, the 12% bracket is, or what he's going to be taxed at. So we definitely need to pick up the 12% that he's going to be taxed at. I want you to write down $38 as the tentative amount of tax, and then we're going to calculate the remaining tax that is owed at 12%. So if you'll bear with me just a minute, I'm going to flip back to our spreadsheet to show you where I've got that calculated. So we went to the tax table C, and it fits between 609 and 1772. So this is what you got to do. Since it fits between 609 and the taxes have already been figured on $609, they're the $38 that we've got here, you've got to subtract 609 from the taxable amount of $1243 to get a new taxable amount at 12%, because that was the bracket that he fell in between these two items. Here is the 12% bracket. So what I did is I took 1243 and I subtracted 609 from it, and then I multiplied the remainder by 12%, and that will give you $76.08. There's a formula for that right up here in the formula bar. You can see how I calculated that. And so this is the amount of taxes that we had to find on the remainder of the taxable amount. When we subtracted 609 from the 1243, we multiplied that remainder by 12%, and that gives you the 7608. The tentative tax was given on the table at $38. This was the tax that was on $609. The two of these added together is the total FIT tax. So $114.08 is what we would record in Cengage. So I'm going to do a new share with you. I'm going to go back to Cengage. And we're right here, and the amount that they wanted you to show here was $114.08. And that comes directly off of the worksheet that I'm going to post with this video, so you'll know how to do this. The rest of these are done very similarly. The only difference is you got to find the tax table that's bi-weekly for this one, quarterly for this one, semi-monthly, and monthly for this one. So in the percentage method, they start with the weekly amount here for table C. If you scroll on down, you can see that we've got the bi-weekly payroll period here, the semi-monthly payroll period here, monthly, and you keep scrolling, and it's got quarterly. It's got everything you need for each one of those individual employees that you're calculating the amount for. So the table is used just like what I just showed to you in the video when we were looking at tax table C for the weekly payroll period. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to let you calculate the rest of them because they're very similar to what I just done here. And I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.